Back on the Radio Row Review, and today we are joined here by Oregon Ducks offensive lineman Marcus Harper II. Marcus, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you guys for having me here.
And Marcus, you're an Oregon Ducks offensive lineman.
Yes.
I have to ask you, how was it playing with Dylan Gabriel this past season, and what was it like protecting him?
Yeah, it was great playing with Dylan. I had both for 2 years, obviously, and so just having difference of, they're just different guys, different personalities on the line and things like that. They go about things a lot differently, but to see that there's more than one way to skin a cat and still get the same result. It was great having Dylan back there. Great locker room personality. It was fun having him day in and day out for sure.
Now, you play one of the most generally underrated offensive positions in the game at the offensive guard position.
Yes.
When teams are looking to draft you, what are you telling them? What are they getting out of a position that needs to get more love?
Yeah, you get a leader for sure. You get someone that's very twitchy on the field, but you get someone that's a big personality off the field, a big leader, a guy who likes bringing his guys to win. And you get a guy who's just a stand-up guy, a guy that you want your daughters to marry, a guy that you always look to when things get tough, and you want someone to go in there fire with. You want to go into that with Marcus Harper II.
And you found a lot of success with this Ducks team. You've been a Big Ten champion. You've been deep in the playoffs. You've played on a bunch of different regimes and with a ton of other great players. What has that experience taught you, being with such a great program as Oregon and the Ducks?
It's taught me a lot of perseverance. No matter, you start with the coaching staff and you get traded, you get the landscape of college football change with NIL. No matter what's thrown at you, you can still come out on the other side and get the result that you want. And so it's been phenomenal to kind of see that, that perseverance kind of pay off, because a lot of guys, they go through this thing and they come out and they look a lot different than when they came in. But I went through the fire and got untouched, so yeah.
And there have been a lot of recent Oregon Ducks picks who have been drafted into the NFL. And when you look at offensive lineman Jackson Powers-Johnson, somebody who comes to mind.
JPJ.
Talk about a little bit about him. I'm sure you played with him over your years. What have you seen from him in the league, and are you excited to join him once you enter the NFL draft?
Yeah, it was pretty cool seeing him make that transition his first year and kind of seeing how much of an immediate impact he had on his team. I didn't know he was going to play as much guard that he played, but it was really nice to see him go from, whether they needed him to play left guard, play right guard, play center. He was able to keep up his level of dominance, and I don't think he had any injuries that set him back this past year. So it was great to see him come out healthy this past year. But, great guy, great teammate, real funny, and almost like a big teddy bear too. So it was good to see him go into his first year and kind of dominate like he normally does. So.
And another offensive lineman for Oregon that was drafted a little bit before your time, but Penei Sewell. Talk a little bit about him. What have you maybe looked up to him a little bit in the league, and what have you seen from him maybe that you've taken towards your own game and tried to help develop?
Just that continued level of dominance. Like when I got to Oregon, he was literally on his way out. So I literally had maybe one workout with Penei, and then the COVID season shut down and he was out of there. But I've seen how dominant he was on a weekly basis, in a yearly basis, and how he transitioned that dominance from college to high school, from college to the NFL, and he made that dominance, seamlessly. And he's been doing his thing. So just making sure that you just stay dominant no matter what team you play for, where you get drafted, wherever. Like, make sure you're dominant no matter where you're at.
Now, we talked about offensive line and getting a little bit more love. We talked about JPJ. We talked about Penei Sewell. You're dipping your toe into the athlete media landscape. Talk to us about the Big Mark show that you're working with Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, the Big Mark show was a nice little 6-part little show that I did this past season, just giving us an insight into my teammates beyond the helmet. We always get talked about what we do inside the helmet, and I'm going to be honest with you, it kind of gets redundant, and it kind of gets boring in the sense of okay, is that all you want to talk to me about? And so my platform just allowed me to, kind of break down that barrier. Let's talk about regular day stuff, because at the end of the day, we're all still human. We just, have superpowers that are just shown in a different light. And, I had guys on there, Kenny Farr, who's our equipment manager. I had Evan Stewart on there, who I found out, did some things with Chris Brown and all these other different things. And so it was just cool to hear different guys' experiences and find another connecting piece. So.
I think you're a natural for it, because the way you hold your mic, you got that mic discipline down. It's hard to teach people to do that. We have people all day flying around the mic. Hey, you know what you're doing. I appreciate that. I want to keep going on just the Oregon Trail. Man, that is just a dumb joke. All right. But you've played with a lot of guys who are either in the NFL or have that NFL trajectory.
Yes.
You paved the way for back-to-back 1,000-yard running backs. We're going to see Jordan James in the league coming up soon. Bucky Irving already in the league. You've got a couple other ex-teammates who are in the league. Is there anyone that you played with in your time with the Ducks that you'd want to reunite with in the league?
I ain't going to lie. Playing with Bo Nix, that was something special, just to see him do what he was able to do his first year. And just playing with B10, it was just different. Love playing with Dylan and Bo, but I would like to reunite with Bo if possible. reunite with Bucky. That blocking for him is a whole different landscape. Playing against Evan, playing with Evan, that'd be nice. It's a lot of, that's a loaded question. There's a lot of guys I would love to play with. But I'm glad that we're all in the league. So, maybe I'll be on the team with somebody else in the foreseeable future.
And that's all about what it's all about, linking up with former teammates and things like that. Do you have any specific, I got to ask, Bucky Irving stories? Do you have any stories blocking for him, anything from the locker room or anything like that? Any funny stories?
I just remember a Texas Tech game. It was we played second game of the year last year. It might have been third. Whenever. Early in the season last year, we played Texas Tech. And, I thought I could have swore I was running downfield trying to go get Bucky, and I could have swore he was down. And I just seen all of the Red Raiders jersey go after him. He was cutting back to the middle of the field. I'm like, dog, I got to keep running to come get you, bro. Like, either go down, touchdown, do something. But that's Bucky. And to see him make that same level of transition and have that same level of dominance in the NFL, I'm not surprised by no means.
Now, you allowed 0 sacks in back-to-back seasons. Absolutely cracked stat, especially from that interior position where it's easy to get double-teamed, easy to get overwhelmed. We talked about what an NFL team is getting out of you. I do have to ask, though, we're trying to see a little bit from you. Is there an NFL team that, if you had your pick of the lot or a couple, that you would like to go to, that you'd like to end up playing with? Obviously, you'd like to play anywhere, but anyone you got in mind?
Honestly, who gonna pay me the most? Honestly, again, understanding that I'm gonna correct you, in 3 years it was no sacks, but just making sure that you understand the value of okay, in this very, very, very heavy passing league, that what you're getting in Marcus Harper II. You get the versatility, you get the leadership. It's a big package that you're getting, and it's one that doesn't go unnoticed. So, I'm gonna shine wherever I'm gonna go. So it really doesn't pay me no mind, but who gonna drop that bag for Big Mark for sure. Yeah.
And Marcus, I have to ask, you're here with us here at Radio Row in New Orleans. How have you been enjoying your time here, the city, the atmosphere, the food?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to get no food. Actually, going to make a quick transition out later on tonight. But, I got to go to Nickelodeon. I got slimed a couple of times earlier today. I was with my guys over at Sirius XM with EJ and them. So it was cool. It was pretty cool to kind of see this and see how, a lot of these guys I was talking to on Zoom, and then I was able to make the transition in person. So it's been nice. It's been real nice for sure.
And Marcus, quickly before we let you go, I have to ask your Super Bowl 59 prediction. Who do you got in this game on Sunday?
Oh, man, that's a loaded question, bro, because there's so many factors that go into a game that, people just don't pay attention to. When someone wins, you'll know who my favorite pick was, and then we'll go from there.
Fair enough. Hey, they got 2 great interior offensive lines. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. They got great interior offensive lines. They got great defensive. It's going to be a real chess match, and I would love to see who comes on top. And then, whoever wins, we'll figure out who Big Mark chose. So we'll go from there.
Marcus Harper, Oregon Ducks offensive lineman, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.